All right, one more subject today. Cancer. No, we did cancer yesterday. Hold on one second. CBD um, and magnesium deficiency. Okay, so we've covered this before. Like we are for CBD. The problem is the extraction and how they've weaponized this and got government involved with all of it. It seems like a good way for them to keep us from extracting the exact right compound that does the most for the human being, or that becomes super expensive. And so sometimes, like some of these CBNs and CBGs and other compounds, which are more valuable, can be over time come down to a level which can be accessible to all. But we just have to stay on our game because once the government's allowed to control these areas, just like they did with tobacco, you start to have these products which become delivery vehicles for the drug that's in them, and then they end up just getting rid of the source material, like they did with cigarettes, and then they just give you the drug itself. And so there's a way to do this with everything. And so hopefully we'll stay awake, and try to find the ever changing spirit behind what this therapeutic modality is and how to follow it into even something that may go offline, or you have to find on special websites, or you have to do this, that, and the other, or a different type of extraction processes. So you have to stay awake to this pulling of the sword out of the stone, per se, like learning how to take a drug and take the sobering effects, the therapeutic effects out of it, and use it possibly for the human being without triggering gateway drug and intoxication and just being high. Like that's not the way forward. Everybody being high. This is like the stupidest planet you could imagine. Like you want. There might be some purpose for THC at some level, but it's not for to develop human consciousness further and to bring us closer to to the truth. It's not. Sobriety is much closer to that goal. So, but there can be some sobering effects from the therapeutic side that can be very powerful if we can pay attention to them. And typically, the more expensive elements are probably there. Probably what you find, if you follow the laws, you'll usually find what's the most restricted. And there you usually find some of the, sometimes you can find out what they're pulling off the shelves, cease and desist letters from the FDA to figure out what we need to be buying as far as supplements or whatever. It's like reverse engineering. Um, so the CBD thing that I wanted to say here is that you cannot replace CBD, magnesium deficiency, with CBD. That's ridiculous. And a lot of people try to do that. They think CBD does everything, and it doesn't. CBD is actually much inferior to magnesium as far as its effects in the body. The mineral level is much more essential than the plant level. Like you can live your whole life without bumping into CBD, but you can't do that with magnesium. And so there's kind of like but the endocannabinoid system, and there's of course every single thing out there in nature has a something binoid system in us. You could take digitalis, which is a flower which they use for heart medications, and you could find the digitalis binoid system. I'm just making that up, but you'll find it in the body. It's in the heart, actually. That's where the receptors are. So you'll find certain elements that seem to have receptors in certain areas. So everything outside of us may have some origin in there, some sort of connection, you could say. But that doesn't mean that I could live my whole life without taking digitalis, for example. And a lot of other plants too, but they may have something important. But anyway, don't overdo it. Just like with vaccines or anything else, don't pretend that this is a monolithic thing. Oh, no, therapeutics and prevention and education and nutrition, no, those are weak. Deficiencies, no, that doesn't do much. It's really just the vaccines that do much. And it's like, nope. All of those other things were on the same pie chart that a little sliver should have had with vaccines. And we just mixed the pie up to where it was all one thing and the little teeny slivers of the other. So we got some skewed perception going on here. And so CBD is not going to cover a magnesium deficiency, but when the magnesium deficiency is addressed, not by making some CBD mag kind of product where you combine everything. That's all marketing and gimmicks and stuff, and people try to do it and they don't sell well because you just basically ruined both products to some degree. And so what you need to do is separate them. Do the mag oil 100% one ingredient, glass bottles, pure Zechstein inside logo from possibly theheartoftradition.com, or if you can find the same combination of elements in some other place, go for it. But you can't, you can't replace you can get the magnesium deficiency to work. And once it starts working on the base inflammation in the human body, the circulatory and nervous system, then the plant can come in there and help out even more, allowing for more things to come out of the system, kind of like a detoxifier, using the mineral and the plant in order to dilate a little further and allow for more things to make it out of the body and detoxify. That's what a lot of this stuff does, is that it helps, we're severely intoxicated by things. And so not only does it relax and do these types of things, like we could say, oh, maybe CBD, it's a relaxing thing. That's why, a lot of women are into CBD and also magnesium, like it's a relaxing thing. But really, relaxing and healing kind of go together. There's just when things are not in pain and smarting and inflamed, there's a relaxation. From that, you can detoxify. There's a state that has to be passed through. You can't go from pain to full-on detox. You have to get to that relaxation stage, and where the things kind of calm. Otherwise, the body's not going to get anything out of there that is difficult to get out of there, which a lot of these toxins, either purposefully or unpurposefully, are very difficult to get out. So you need this combination effect. So using them together in alternation, like maybe one day one day the other, or, morning and night, whatever it is. But keeping each one in its own respective reality and using them, you'll have a much better feedback. We get a lot of CBD people who come to us because they realize this. They realize that the mag is actually feeding that. So anyway, don't believe the hype in the CBD world that there's this one system does everything, because it's not true. It doesn't. It needs help from the mineral. It has to be built up from the mineral, and then the plant can operate. And there is some powerful properties in the CBD. There's also powerful properties in a lot of plants. It's sad, but in America, unlike where I was at for 15 years in France, where they had this gemotherapy, which were these tinctures of buds of plants using the hormonal side of plants, because it's all in the bud, right? It's not in the stem, it's in the bud. And this hormonal side of plants being used like almost as a homeopathic informational type of effect on the body, which, like homeopathy, over time, it's forcing the body, it's telling the body to do something incrementally each day. So you take these over 2 to 3 months, and it really affects the endocrine system, the hormonal system, through these little drops of this, hormonal tinctures, which help to drain target sites, organ sites, detoxify different tissue. There's like tropisms. There's parts of the body. There's black. What is it called? Black currant is one of the berry, the buds they use. So you could say there's a black currant benoid system too, and there's a lot. They also use, like, what was the other one? They use fig. They have a ton of these, even juniper. And so you can have the juniper benoid system and the fig benoid system. There's 1,000 systems in there because they all affect something. So using all of these things together, not just being so mono-mind with this and healing the big deficiencies. It's like you don't want to be like monomaniac with your ideas. But then again, you also have to realize there's huge mono common denominators with what we're all suffering. So you do have to kind of, like with the magnesium deficiency, you can be a little bit mono and just go straight to that deficiency because it's such a big ubiquitous deficiency. Whereas, some of those core elements, we do have to kind of all do the same thing. But as it starts to fractal out on the peripheral with all independence things and different, someone may have more of a kidney issue, the other has a liver issue or a stomach or whatever it is, then these remedies will come in on top of that to help fine tune that system. Okay, so but you have to have the base covered, and that's for everybody. Like I tell everybody to do the threefold remedy, which is like K2, vitamin D, and magnesium. But all three of those being ones you've never heard of, like sipping emu oil for as the K2, or foie gras, ordered from France in cans, or however you can get it, or the fermented cod liver oil or the cod livers from Russian stores, as a way to get the vitamin D with the A together. Or Batarga fish eggs, like there's, which are, fermented fish eggs from Italy. So I try to offer real foods that really are powerful. Actually, the real foods are much more powerful than the supplements, but you have to seek them out. And like all the cultures used to. So anyway, CBD oil cannot replace magnesium deficiency, and it's kind of silly and monomania to focus only on CBD. It's one corner of this healing detoxification protocol that we need, but the center of which is magnesium deficiency, and the structural level has to be enhanced through healing the deficiency, and then that multiplied by 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So it's like, ooh, boring. But yeah, that's how it works, is we have to heal this stuff for a long time. And it's not like, oh, you got to do my product every day forever. If you did 5 or 10 bottles of this and spent 100, 200 bucks for 1 year, man, you could knock out most of it. And the next 6 years, your body would still be using what it stored up in that 1 year. That's how powerful the body is. Or you could buy a few bottles every year after that and just make it more easy. It costs you like $1 a week at that point. So, I mean, it's not like someone's trying to force you into some sort of crazy idea. But you get one of these diseases in the modern world, boy, you got like 300 bucks a pill, you got whole treatments, you're in a whole nother world. So who's really, ripping you off here? So try to find the truth, and don't focus on just, somebody's diploma or whatever. Try to just find a feel for truth and see what people, where they're coming from, what they've faced personally, what they've went through. Listen to their story. Sometimes a story is much more powerful than a degree. I had an inner child therapist at one point that he had no degree in nothing, but he'd been through it. He cried and snotted on 100 pillows. That's what he told me. And I was like, okay, this guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. Whereas these degreed people, sometimes they don't. And I'm not against like education, but well, I kind of am, because I feel like it's going to have to be reformulated and changed completely over the next years. It doesn't mean that the education of the past was that bad, but right now we're hitting the reverse fructification of education, meaning like where we see its dark side of this kind of, ideological think tank, echo chamber kind of way of educating children, where it's less modular, less based on love and community, home, and less modular, less adapted to their actual skills. Not like everybody wants to go to college, right? That's not true. And then you also have like different types of things, and then you also have the college itself, which has become weaponized in many ways, not only financially, but also, and then that plays into it, the finances, of course, and military grants and all these other things. Everything influences the college, and so who's putting up the money for all those grants, and where is that? What is actually behind that? So we have to be like clear in where things come from. So yeah, don't use CBD to replace magnesium. Start with magnesium, and then find your way to CBD too. They both work really well together. But if you only have one on a desert island and you have nothing else, you're going to need the magnesium. So one you can die without, and the other one you can't. So anyway, thank you. If you want to check us out, our products are at theheartoftradition.com.